What is up, Light Fam? It is David, your spiritual awakening coach, here to help you through your spiritual awakening. Seems like you guys really enjoyed my 3 signs you're becoming your greatest version part 1. If you have not seen that video, you can go check it out right here. After you watch this video, I'll link it in the description below as well. But I thought it was time to make a 3 signs you're becoming your greatest version part 2. So let's get into that right now. Let's go. 3 signs you're becoming your greatest version. Number 1, you've stopped the old behavior patterns of the old identity, which just keeps that old identity alive. What makes up the old identity? The old habitual behavior patterns. Now, this makes the ego feel warm and fuzzy because there's no threat to survival to that old identity. The ego is in charge of survival of the identity. And if it doesn't know that new identity, it's going to throw you into fight or flight. The ego says, hey, I want to stay in my comfort zone, in my little sandbox, because on the other side of that comfort zone might be death, might be something that is unsafe or dangerous. No, on the other side of that comfort zone is freedom, sovereignty, and authenticity, because you're living a higher timeline. Your greatest version is on a higher comfort zone than your current comfort zone. So you've got to get uncomfortable to get to a higher comfort zone and bring that greatest version into your current timeline. And that's going to feel scary to your ego. Your ego believes it's a threat to survival. It's going to throw you into fight or flight and a bunch of anxiety. But what you can do is throw the ego a bone, as I like to say. You can sit down and write out, what is that new greatest version? What does that new greatest version look like? Who is that new identity? Be very specific in detail. The brain, the ego, sees it in black and white. Now it's a thing. It's a new program. So you can start taking the baby steps, the action steps, in alignment with the new identity, the new greatest version. What is that new identity? Just a bunch of behavior patterns in alignment with the greatest version, the new identity. And energy flows where attention goes. Your focus is on acting in accordance with that greatest version, which means the old identity gracefully dies off of your timeline. 3 signs you're becoming your greatest version. Number 2, you've started taking accountability for everything that has shown up in your life while looking for the lesson. Taking accountability gives you all of the power because it immediately throws you out of victim mode. It throws you out of finger pointing mode. I always say, anytime you're pointing your finger to the person you just gave all of your power to. All of the change and the power is within. So whether the ego believes what has happened to you is fair or unfair, there is a frequency within that is resonating with your current circumstances. The universe is your mirror. This allows you to go in and see, where are you in alignment with fear? What needs to be healed? And when I say healed, I mean taking a higher vibration, such as love and acceptance, and applying that to that fear, debunking that fear, and integrating it into your more dominant frequency. The definition of love is to take something as yourself. This is how we heal things. We don't deny and repress, because that's just internal division. And it's also a resistant type of energy, which sets up a wall and just keeps you stagnant. It's the opposite of expansion. But when you accept something that you need to love and heal and integrate, now all of a sudden you're healing that frequency, and that gives you all of the power to resonate with something higher that can come into your physical experience. Taking the accountability teaches the ego to not immediately react in a defensive energy, allowing you the opportunity to step back in what we like to call the observer mind, where you can kind of take a look at things from a higher vantage point and choose to respond, not react, but respond in an action that's in alignment with higher consciousness, compassion, love, unity, or respond in a manner that's in alignment with the 3D ego, fear. This also allows you an opportunity to say, what is this trying to teach me? You start to ask some empowering questions. What is the universe trying to birth through me? What would my greatest version do in this situation? What are the gifts, talents, traits, and abilities that I would need to cultivate to overcome this challenge? The universe loves to give empowering answers when you start to ask empowering questions. And when you ask those empowering questions, you might discover an aspect of you that you didn't even know existed, and you wouldn't have known existed if you hadn't have asked those empowering questions. And this is the power of taking accountability. Now, if you need a helping hand healing the trauma that is keeping your greatest version shackled, we can work together one-on-one through Zoom. Check the description below for that. Also, if you're finding value in the content, please click the subscribe button and please share with anyone that you believe is trying to bring forth their greatest version. 3 signs you're becoming your greatest version. Number 3, you've stopped avoiding negative emotions. Stop doing that. All emotions are valid. It's your perception that those emotions are negative. But as soon as you drop that resistant perception that those emotions are negative and you stop avoiding them, now you can sit with those negative emotions in a space of acceptance, integration, and ask, what are you here to show me? Where am I in alignment with fear? That's what needs to be healed. Whatever needs to be healed is in alignment with fear, whether it's the fear of losing something that we think we can't live without, whether it's the fear of our needs not being met, whether it's the fear of not being worthy of our needs being met, whether it's the fear of not being worthy of love. Whatever that fear is, that is the opposite frequency of the dominant frequency of source consciousness. So know that every time that you are in fear, you're as far away from your true source self as you can possibly be, because fear and love are 2 polar opposite ends of the frequency. One is source, one is ego. So this is how we practice spiritual alchemy. This is how we turn lead into gold. You want to transmute that fear into the higher vibrational frequency of love. Well, how do you do that? Well, you apply the higher frequency of love and acceptance and integration. Acceptance does not mean pushing away, which is resistance. So when you apply that higher frequency of love to the lower frequency of whatever needs to be healed, you're transmuting that into the more higher frequency of love. This is lead into gold. What does lead represent? Heavier, denser energy that keeps you anchored down, that makes the boat sink, right? But gold is a divine color. The dominant frequency of the divine is love. So when you allow those negative emotions into your space and ask, where can I get out of alignment with fear? You're practicing the alchemy that allows you to step into spiritual sovereignty, authenticity, and freedom. I hope this has helped you guys. I love you. Namaste.